Okay, today we're going to look at inheritance and polymorphism. And we'll get started with just setting up a regular class called weather forecast. And it provides the following behavior. You have a method for setting the value of skies, which would just be a simple string parameter like clear, foggy, hazy, cloudy, overcast, or just whatever you'd like. And then there's a high and a low temperature. And then we have get methods, which allow you to display all of those things. And we need to define instance variables as needed by your get and set methods and write a constructor to properly initialize them, which means that the constructor is going to have to take in values for all of these things, which would be the value of skies, the value of high, and the value of low. Okay, so let's pause the video and probably take about 5 minutes while you work on that, and then come back and restart the video, and we'll look at my solution, okay? Okay, you're back, so let's take a peek at what I did with this. Here's the initializer. Self, always self first. Skies, high, low. And then we have the three sets that take things from this. Self.skies is skies, self.high is high, self.low is low. And then we have the possibility of overriding those with set methods. And then we have the same thing with get, skies, high, and low. Okay? So let's go on and see what else we're going to do. So I want you to instantiate a member of this class, and the object is named June_22, and give it some reasonable values for the 22nd of June. Set the skies to clear, the high to 75, the low to 45. So just take a few minutes and do that. You'll need to pause the video while you do that, okay? Okay, you're back, so let's go on and take a look at the way I did that. Here is June_22. It's a weather forecast, clear, 75, and 45. And you notice that there is no self. This is, in effect, the self. Okay? So I want you to test the three methods that get values. Okay? Pause the video and take a few minutes to do that, and then come back. Okay, you're back. So let's take a look at that. So June_22.get_skies is clear. The get high returns 75. Get low returns 45. Okay, so all of our get methods are working. I want you to test each of the three set methods, and use each set method to change a value, then use the corresponding get method to verify the work. And again, you need to pause this video and do the work, and then come back and look at what I did. Okay, you're back. Let's take a peek. So I set the skies to cloudy, and then I did the get skies thing, and I got cloudy. I set the high to 65, and I used the get method, and I got 65. I set the low to 39, and I used the get method, and I got 39. Okay, So all of our get and set methods are working. So I want to point out that you don't actually have to use get and set. You actually have direct access to all of those variables within the instantiated object just by referring to them. And I want you to change the values of all the attributes of June_22 and then display the results without using methods. Okay? So stop the video, take a few minutes to do this, and then come back and look at the video again. Okay, you're back. Let's take a look. So June_22.skies is equal to hazy. Note that I didn't use the set method. And I said print June_22.skies, and I got hazy. So I didn't have to use the get and set methods. I have direct access to those variables. The same thing with a high. Note that I'm not using get and set. I'm just referring to the variables. Oops. And the same thing with low. It works. Okay, now we're going to really talk about inheritance, and we'll create a subclass called local weather forecast, and it has a string parameter called loc, which is first in the parameter list. So you need to add get and set methods for this parameter. Note that since you're adding a parameter, you must provide an init method. However, you can, within that init method, refer to the init method for the superclass weather forecast. Okay, so this is probably a little bit confusing, and let's just take a look at the way we do it. I'm not going to ask you to try this by yourself without looking. So here's the way this thing becomes a subclass of weather forecast. We have a class local weather forecast, parentheses weather forecast. That means that it's going to inherit everything from weather forecast. And here's the initialization. Self, loc, the extra thing, skies, high and low. And within that, we use the init method for the super forecast to take the values of skies, high and low and stick them into their appropriate variables within the instance. Now, the init method for the superclass, of course, did not contain anything to deal with the string loc, so we have to add that here. Self.loc is loc. And we had set and get methods for loc. Okay, so this is the way that the process works for creating a subclass. Okay, take a look at this, careful look at this before we go on. You may want to pause the video even and take a look at it. Okay, let's go on. So I want you to create a local weather forecast for Olympia on June 23rd, and just pick whatever values you want. So again, as usual, you want to stop the video and do your work and then come back and look at what I did. Okay, you're back. Let's take a look at what I did. I call this thing June_23_Oli, and it's a local forecast for Olympia. That's the loc. Here's the skies, clear blue, 90 and 60. Wow, 90. That's warm. Okay? So take a look at that, absorb what I've done. Okay, let's go on. Test the inheritance. I want you to use the get method defined in the superclass to get the current value of skies. Note that we did not define a get method for skies in local weather forecast. If there is anything that would respond to a get skies, it would have to have come from the superclass. Okay. Let's take a peek at that. June_23_Oli.get_skies. And this get_skies clearly came from the class weather forecast because it was not defined for local weather forecast, but local forecast inherits everything that forecast has. Okay. Okay, let's go on. Polymorphism. Let's refine the get skies method for the class local weather forecast. It should be a string referring to both the location and the value of skies. Okay, so this will be a few minutes exercise, I think. So stop the video, and when you're done, restart the video. Okay? Okay, let's take a look at the way that was done. This is what we've added. Get skies of self. So the string is the skies on this day in self.loc plus quote r quote plus self. It got cut off, but there's self.skies out there. And then you return the value of s. So note that this is different from the get skies method that you got from the weather forecast. So now you have two different get skies, two different things that you could be looking at when you call get_skies. And if the object that you're talking about is a local weather forecast, then it will use this method. On the other hand, if the thing that you're talking about was a weather forecast, then it will use the weather forecast value of get_skies. Okay, so take a few minutes and think about that. Okay, on we go. So here we have the version of get_skies that referred to a local weather forecast. Okay, so that concludes this video.